Hey, my name is McCall. Thank you for checking out the Encore interview. It is 4 o'clock on election day here in Minnesota, 2020. Currently, I've pretty much exclusively been listening to the Jimmy Stack album. It's really good. Me and Bobby, who produces my music, and Hannah, my roommate, all watched Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron again the other day. And that's definitely my all-time favorite movie soundtrack. Hans Zimmer, what a guy. I've been getting into a lot of Zines recently. So like All My Friends Zine, unpublished Zine, adolescent content, very cool. And of course the Encore, my favorite music magazine of all time. Bobby Rethwish, but I'm a bit biased. BJ Burton, he's insane. If you are not familiar with everything that he's worked on, highly recommend a scroll through that wiki page. It's insane. It's ridiculous. I really like One Shot off of Jimmy Stack's album with Bareface, but I just tried to play it earlier and it's not there anymore, so I don't know if that still exists as a song. We'll see. It's just gone from Spotify. Pretty much every song from Hozier's discography, especially the first album, any song off that album, I would kill a person to have written. I hate them all. No. I think Lavender off of my first EP is pretty good. Charlie XCX, if I could feature on your album, I promise we'll make a banger. The most rewarding part of it for me is when I'm done with the project and kind of seeing all the things I've learned about myself through the making of that project. It's like the best tool for self-analysis and growth, I think, is to make art. And that's really very rewarding to me. Obviously when people like it, but there's no guarantee that that will always be the case. So I'm happy when I like it. I mean, everything is so crazy right now. Everything is changing in the world and in the music industry. I think if there's a way that I can easily create art and pay rent, and whichever outlet makes that most accessible to me. Right now, as an independent, we're not doing too bad, so we'll see. But obviously, there is pros and cons to both sides of it, so I don't really know. I feel like On Self-Loathing was the beginning of a story that I'm like being shown, or that my mind is creating, and that was kind of like the very small first door into this larger narrative. And over my career, I would like to build out this narrative, and I don't know how to, it's so exciting to me. I don't know how to explain it in an exciting way. I just feel like there's so much more to this character, or this like, android avatar that is building in the world of my music, and I'm really excited to continue to grow it and like into a place where I can make a full universe where that exists. And I think the biggest thing that happened this year was putting out that first step and seeing that it connected with people. And I've never even written music that was as self-revealing as that. So I look forward to finding out what else I'm willing to tell you all. I go through moments of like overwhelming inspiration and overwhelming lack of inspiration. So some days it's like the way the light hits a tree is the most inspiring thing I've ever seen. And sometimes there's nothing that gets it going at all. But I think over the course of my life, it's been my mom, very inspirational woman, and women like Imogen Heap, who's just so dedicated to innovation through her art, and Bjork, who's like just so before her time. She feels like an alien. Like those types of people always make me realize that there's more than just the making of the music in this path. I'm really grateful that it still makes sense for me to do music, approaching the end of this year. At the beginning of the year, I was really struggling with the fact that I had chosen to be an artist, and I felt very unhelpful and useless in the world. But as this year's progressed, I think we've all found out that that's not the case, and that there is still a place for art. And to have released a project throughout like all of these ups and downs of the year and still had it land with the amount of people that it did, and like still feel good to me that I put that out, that means a lot to me, that I can still do this, and that there's nothing major keeping me from doing it. You know, my family's okay. My friends are okay. I have a beautiful home that I'm in right now. And yeah, I'm very, very lucky. That's a tough question because I feel like the things that make me happy after they've made me really upset. So like when I complete a project or completing this EP was true, like ecstatic excitement, but the process of making it was so difficult. So those kinds of things where you got to work and get a reward, you know how it goes. But also just finding whenever I'm like in a rhythm with the group of people that I'm with, which doesn't have to be close friends, but it can be close friends, and it's not always close friends, and sometimes it's strangers, but like when you are in a rhythm with people around you and you all just kind of happen to be on the same wavelength for that evening, those moments really mean a lot to me. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm young. I'm a tiny baby. I don't think I've known the extents of what love means quite yet in my life, but I think for me it means the ability to appreciate someone without any sort of possession over that. You know, if you can love something for exactly as it is without trying to put your own spin on what that is, that feels like the most accurate definition for me at this point in my life. Just, I don't know, because I come in and out of moments where I feel like I know what I'm doing, and moments where I'm really grounded in reality, and then I have other moments where I'm so hyper spiritual and like into the stars and the signs and like all of that. But I think finding a good balance for yourself between what is actually happening versus what you think is happening, while still allowing yourself to like imagine different scenarios and thoroughly think through things. Yeah, just nothing's ever that bad. I think if you keep that in your mind, like things are never quite as bad as you could possibly make them seem, and repeat that to yourself. There are lots of things that need our attention right now in America and globally. I think globally, in terms of feminism, there's a lot more that needs to be done, because although there are issues in the United States, we can at least wear what we want, say what we want. There is the opportunity, albeit much more difficult than it is for a man, to grow. And globally, that's not the case. And I think trying to find ways to help survivors of domestic abuse, women who are trying to seek asylum, that is something that we could all focus our feminist efforts on and make a much bigger global progress. Oh, I don't know. We had this teeny tiny little pandemic, and it's made things a bit hard for us. Probably that. Coronavirus. We had a little health scare with my family, and I think that really put things into perspective in terms of how lucky I am, because up till that point it had been like the world was burning, but for some reason my family was safe and my friends were safe. But that little blip in time that I'm now lucky and fortunate to say isn't earth shattering at the moment really made me reprocess what I'm doing. And so I left LA, moved to Minnesota to try to take some space from even though we were all inside all the time, it's still like a very daunting and aggressive city. So, and it's been nice to take a step out of that and to spend some time with my family and just get to know myself a little bit more outside of how I think a city like LA interprets me. So that's been the biggest change for me this year. That you have to be okay being by yourself. I think I've had a handful of times in my life where that has been thrown up in my face very clearly, that like your company is the most important company and you can't rely on anybody else ever, no matter how close you are or what kind of history you have. Like at the end of the day, in a situation like this, it's going to be you in your room, and you need to be okay with that. And so that's been a big lesson for me to relearn again this year. Not to sound like a broken record, but putting this EP out was just the best, most rewarding thing ever. You know, I started working with Bobby, who worked on this EP and is working on the next one, and my manager Josh and I just like really, I think we struggled together, and it's been nice to be able to celebrate together, and bringing new people onto the team has been really exciting. Yeah, that this whole process has been the best thing. TikTok, baby! I was alone for most of the year because we all were alone. So TikTok really, really tickles me, and I'm obsessed with that app. Whatever, take my info, China. You can have it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you again next year.